I'm so excited for today's video. As you can tell by the title, we are doing a full plant tour of my apartment. I've actually gotten this request a ton, which makes me so happy because it's a video that I planned on making and was so excited to make, but now knowing that there are people that might actually watch it and enjoy it just warms my heart, because this is the type of content that I love to watch in other channels. If someone uploads a plant tour, I am there. I cannot wait to see what houseplants they have because it inspires me. It kind of like helps me figure out what plants I may want to purchase as well. Plants are so beneficial. Like, they help you with your mood, with the air, they make you happy. It's like a living thing that you can take care of. So it's super therapeutic for me, and it's something that I'm so glad I kind of discovered right before quarantine hit back in March. I became a plant mom for real and kind of started this journey, and now here we are, like 100 plants later, giving you a full apartment plant tour. Definitely give this video a thumbs up. Comment down below what type of plant you have if you are also a plant parent, and make sure you are subscribed, because if you're not here for the plant content, I post a ton of other content on this channel as well. Make sure you have the bell turned on because I always shout out the first comment on my social media, so make sure you follow me on Instagram and Snapchat and all of that as well. But like I just mentioned, I have about 100 plants in this apartment, which sounds crazy, I know, and I get a lot of comments on my bedroom makeover video alone just asking me like, how do you take care of all those plants? You have too many plants. What are you gonna do with all of them? That's too much. It feels like a jungle. And hey, we are all entitled to our own opinion. For me, it's definitely like a healthy addiction in a way, buying plants, because it makes me so happy. Seeing new leaves or flowers come up just warms my heart. It is like my favorite part of the morning, waking up and watering my plants. So this is really exciting for me. All of that being said though, I am not perfect, and I have definitely killed a handful of plants based on me not knowing how to take care of it, as well as the environment that it was placed in. There were 7 plants to be exact that did not make it to this tour today. A big reason why is because we had a super hot, humid summer, at least in July, and some of these plants are super sensitive to humidity, so it got a little too hot and the plant did not survive. Another big reason why some plants died is because they didn't survive the transition from that pot to repotting, and then just the stress of being in a new environment. So there are a lot of factors. Before I jump into the tour, I just want to do like a quick little overview on exactly how I take care of 100 plants. So a handful of you have asked what app I use to take care of my plants, and you may have seen it in some of my previous video uploads, but I use the app Planta. My mom showed it to me back in March, and it is such a game changer. It's my favorite thing in the whole world. What's really cool about Planta is you can actually set up different rooms in your home. So I have the bedroom, office, living room, kitchen, bathroom, wish list, and graveyard. When you set up a new room, it'll ask you how much light that room gets, so then it can help you determine which plants will thrive or die in that site. But to answer the question that I get all the time about how do you take care of all those plants is Planta. You can put in all of your plants into this database, and every single day it will tell you what you need to do to take care of it. So I get notifications sent telling me what days I need to water, maybe clean or remove dead flowers, mist and liquid fertilize these plants. It also tells you when to repot, which won't happen for a while. Obviously the app doesn't know everything, but based on the plant that you put into the app, how you potted it, and where you put the plant, it uses all of that information to help you take care of the plant. It looks like I have a lot to do, but I personally have learned that the more that I ignore the plants, the better that they thrive. So if I just let them be for a few extra days and then mist or water them, they tend to like that more. I probably just tend to overwater, so I usually wait a few days, which is why it looks like I have so many things to do, but I also just like to keep it all consistent. So I water everything on the same day, and I mist or fertilize everything on the same day. And obviously a ton of plants only need to be watered maybe like once a week, maybe a couple times a week. Some plants only like to be watered maybe like once a month. So it's really not that big of a commitment. I know before I really started doing research on plants, I thought you had to water them like every single day, which really isn't the case. There are a lot of days where I unfortunately don't have a lot to do with my plants, which makes me sad because I take so much joy out of that. And it is like my favorite part of the day is waking up, brewing some coffee, and watering some plants, misting, cleaning some leaves. It just brings me so much joy and peace. Another thing that I've learned about plants is that when you buy a new plant, you don't necessarily need to repot it right away. You don't want to like stress it out or put it into shock, because it can actually like sometimes lead to their death. So I like to just leave the plant in the pot that I bought it in a new environment, and just let it adjust. After about a week, I'll repot it if the roots are coming out and it needs to be repotted, kind of like ease it into its new environment, because it can kind of be a shock for them. I am planning on doing another video talking about easy houseplants that are like impossible to kill if you are starting out and want to know what type of plants to get that are like super easy to take care of. So be on the lookout for that. If you have any other questions suggestions or video requests regarding plants, please let me know down below and I'll try to do a full video on them. This has really become like such a passion and pride and joy for me this year, so it makes me so excited to talk about it. Like, I'm not even kidding. One night I was hosting for Bachelor with my friends, and when everyone came over, I gave them a full plant tour going into detail about my plants. They just laughed the whole time, but they went on the tour. So even if you're gonna laugh during this video, I hope that you'll enjoy this plant tour. With all that being said though, let's head to the entryway of this apartment and get started with my 100 plant tour. Hi guys, we're currently in my living room. Let's get this tour set up. I just want to say real quick, everything is a work in progress. Some of these plants have been here a long time and are settled. Some I still have to find homes for. This is just like real updates on where my plants are now. And I get a lot of concerns for my cats. Let's be real, most of them are like hate comments, but I do get a lot of concerns about my cats and the toxicity of some of these plants. But I just want to say, and I will continue to mention, that most of these plants are not toxic. If they are specifically placed in an area that my cats will not touch them. And the thing that matters most is my cats have never showed interest in plants. They're not chewers. They don't really touch them at all. And I also trained them as young kittens with a spray bottle, like a misting bottle. It's harmless. It's a way that a lot of people train their animals. They, from what I've seen and noticed on my plants, do not mess with them. So I'm very lucky. And of course, I love my fur babies and I do not want them to get hurt. Another thing about toxic plants is that they're not as poisonous as people think. I forget the type of chemical that's inside the plant that just causes you to be sick if you ingest it. It's not deadly unless they ingest a ton. Typically it will just lead to like a stomach ache or they'll just throw up the leaves, but that has never happened. So I felt the need to make that disclaimer just because I know I'll get a ton of comments about it, as I have in the past. I love my cats so much. I'm not trying to hurt them. I'm very careful. Here is my living room. Starting right when you walk in, we have the first plant. This is a beautiful sparkling Sarah's Chinese evergreen. Like I just mentioned, this is actually a toxic plant, which is why it's placed over here, because it's not an area that the cats go on or know exists. It's using extra precaution. Chinese evergreens are one of the few plants that do really well in shade, so it's actually really awesome that I can put it right here because it's so far away from the light. Moving to this side of my living room, starting up there, I actually have a marble pathos. I got that around my birthday this year. I'm really excited for when the pathos starts to vine down. It's gonna look so pretty. And then on this little table, I picked up this corn tree from Trader Joe's. It came with a ton of dry brown leaves. I'm not sure if it was underwatered, overwatered, too much direct sunlight, or not enough. It's like really hard to tell with plants. I did my best to cut off all the brown leaves. Since adjusting, I mean, it looks like she's doing pretty well. If you are a plant expert, please confirm with me that this is in fact a Dracaena corn tree and not a yucca tree or a yucca plant, because the corn Dracaena tree requires indirect light, but the yucca tree or yucca, honestly, I've heard people say it both ways, so I don't know. That type of plant needs direct sunlight, so I don't really know the best way to tell them apart. On this bookshelf up here, I have another pathos. This is a golden pathos. Pathos are really wonderful houseplants because they do really well. They're super easy to take care of. They grow really fast and they're just low maintenance and really awesome. As you can tell, it's already starting to kind of like jet out and vine down. It grows really quick, so I'm excited to see it vine down this bookshelf. Over here, we have a small Dracaena plant. I really like Dracaenas. They're kind of low maintenance. This is a satin pathos, and it's actually a cutting off of the first pathos that I got. I propagated this in water for a few months until it grew roots, and I potted it. I plan on potting more of the satin pathos in here. As you can tell, it's just one cutting, so it's like one root. It's already starting to vine down the side of the pot, and you can see the new leaf growth that is coming in. So there'll be another leaf right here and right there, and then you can see these little like root buds. They're called nodes. You can see these little nodes of roots where if I put this in water, roots would grow. It's so cool. I love it. Down here, I have another pathos. This pathos is actually some cuttings from that marble pathos. They had some huge roots that were just hanging off the side, so I decided to pot it separately and multiply my pathos plants. It already grew 2 leaves back here, so she's doing really well in this new environment. And then this is actually a piece of golden pathos that I took from my parents' place. When I brought it over, it only had 2 leaves and it grew a 3rd leaf, a little baby. Down here I have a spider plant. I don't know what it is, but I cannot for the life of me keep spider plants alive. So we're going to see this trend because I'm going to show you some horrible spider plants in my room in a minute. Spider plants are supposed to be such an easy house plant, but for some reason mine always die. This is honestly the best I've ever done, and she looks a lot worse than when I bought her. I don't know, I've got her in bright indirect light in the window. I water her when the app tells me to. We'll see what happens. Then over over here I have more cuttings of a golden pathos. I believe that this came from this plant when I bought it, and then it had such growth and a lot of roots exposed that I took some cuttings and I just put them into its own pot, and it's been doing really well. So I'm really excited to see this one grow as well. This is a zebra plant. I really love it. Again, low maintenance, water I think once a week, and I like having trees. Like, this is considered like a zebra tree. Hopefully it grows really big. I'm gonna try to show you this without showing you like the street that I live at, so it might be a really weird angle. I apologize for that. I recently purchased these beautiful pots. So it's not complete yet, but I knew that I wanted to have 3 big plants that need bright indirect light here. So starting over here, I have an umbrella tree. I bought 2 of them and then I potted the 2 of them together in this pot. I'm really excited about this one. I don't know much about umbrella tree plants, but it's super cute. I think it's going to do really well. I don't know what will live here yet, but I am ready for its arrival. And then over here, I just have a huge fern. Ferns are just so beautiful and easy to maintain. They do need a lot of watering because they like to stay in a pretty damp soil. I think this fern is just so thick and gorgeous, so she's doing well. She's thriving. And I bought this little like wood centerpiece to put it on, and I just love the way it looks against the greenery in the pot. Those are all the plants in my living room. Now moving over just a little bit to my kitchen. The first plant that I always forget about is this new snake plant that I bought last weekend. The reason that it's here is because I don't know where to put it yet. It's not even repotted. This is the pot that I bought it in. As you can see, the roots are starting to grow out of the pot. Snake plants like to be root bound and in tight environments, so it's not hurting the plant, but I know soon I should repot it into something slightly bigger. Over here, I will say that as much as I love my apartment, it doesn't have the best storage in the kitchen, so it might look a little cluttered, but this is all exposed storage for me. I am planning on doing an updated apartment tour as well, so if that's something you'd like to see, definitely subscribe. But starting with one of my favorite plants up here, we have another pothos. I recently bought this pothos, and the pot that it's in, I think it is gorgeous for this area. I really, really love it. This pothos is going to do really well, again, with the vines, and just in a few months, I guarantee this pothos is just going to vine down the whole shelf and just add so much more dimension, life, and greenery to this area of my apartment. Down here on this next bookshelf, we have a cute little Hoya. I love Hoyas. Again, they're super, super easy. They don't require a lot of attention. You just kind of water them maybe like once a week or every 15 days and you let it do its thing. Way up here next to the pothos, I also have maidenhair fern. Fern is supposed to be really easy, but this maidenhair actually isn't doing so well. I think she was a little overwatered at the nursery that I got her from because she's getting pretty crisp. She's in the right environment based on this little tag as to like what works best. She is struggling a little bit up there. Next to the Hoya, I have a crispy wave fern. These are really great natural air purifiers. They literally are like crispy. It's so weird. This does really well almost anywhere, so I just have that here. Next to the teapot, I have a few propagating leaves. So here we have a satin pothos that is growing some roots, as you can see. So if you make cuttings of certain plants, put them into water, roots will grow. And once this root is long enough, I'll pot this in some soil and have another plant. I have another satin pothos leaf. This one doesn't have a node. I don't really know if it's going to take off. It's an experiment. And then back here, I actually have a philodendron, which is growing a little root, but it's still very new, so we'll see. Over here, I have another type of Chinese evergreen. It actually looks like it's about to blossom a flower, which is really exciting. This plant, ideally don't want to keep it here because it's just so big, but it is a toxic plant, so I don't really know where else to put it. And it's away from my cats up on this shelf, so for now it's here. Next to it, I have a Z plant. I don't know if that's how you say it, but it's literally spelled like Z. It seems super easy to maintain and take care of. It is one of my newer purchases. I just potted it. Look at how cute it is. I think it would be so cute with this cork board like next to it once I find a home for this permanently. And then I also have this little pothos down here. I'm actually not sure what this is. I asked the employee at the nursery and she said it was a pothos. It kind of looks like a Brazil philodendron or maybe a neon pothos. I'm not sure. So comment down below if you think this isn't a pothos because I'm not sure what that is. Down there we have a mother-in-law's snake plant. I love snake plants. They are so easy to maintain. You don't even have to water them that often and they grow in just about any environment. And then on the table I have another Dracaena plant. This is a dragon tree, I believe that's what it's called. I don't know where to put it yet, but it does need bright and direct light, so I put it on the table for now. It hasn't found its forever home, but we'll see. I really love trees, like I said, because I think it just adds more dimension to the plant. plants in your home. Over here, I have another snake plant. I was going to put this in my room, but it was too big. The only pot that it would fit in is this huge pot that I have from IKEA. Those are all the plants in my kitchen. Moving on, let's head into my office. Welcome to my office. If you missed my office 24-hour room makeover challenge, definitely watch that above as well as down below, because that really was the start of my plant journey. I bought the first plants that I've owned recently in that challenge. Most of them are still alive, so we're gonna check in on them today. To give you a quick overview, this is my office right now. As you can tell, there's like a ton of greenery everywhere. This room and my bedroom gets direct sunlight like all day because it has a south-facing window and a west-facing window. So this room is really like the most tropical greenhouse room, which is why you will definitely find a lot of like tropical succulents in here, but let's get started. The first plant when you walk in, unfortunately, is not doing well at all. This is another dragon tree or Dracaena tree. She, unfortunately, this last week has just given up. I've had her for like 6 months. I really don't know. Well, the one thing that I do know is that she has unfortunately been knocked over not once, but twice by Marnie. Not because Marnie was touching the leaves, but because Marnie would jump up here and then lay down, causing the pot to fall. So she had to be repotted like 3 times. I think that trauma was just too much. That's why I have these like random things here so that Marnie doesn't try to lounge on this. Oh my God, like look at this. Really, like this all happened this week, unfortunately, which sucks because I was like, shoot, I'm gonna film a tour and my plants are dying. If anyone can tell me why this plant died, if it doesn't have to do with being knocked over 3 times, please let me know. Like I said, I have the same type of tree in my kitchen and I really want that one to live. Moving to the south facing window, this is where I keep most of my cactus and succulents, and as you can tell, I got this plant stand from IKEA. This is where I keep most of my extra plant pots of various sizes. It's really nice to have extra pots in case I buy a new plant or if a plant needs to be repotted into something larger. I like having options, so I try to stock up so that I always have pots ready. I'll do a quick overview of all of the plants getting direct sunlight in this room, and then starting down here. So this is a guinea chestnut. I got it from IKEA. I really love the twisting trunk that this tree has. It's super cool and it's already grew a lot since I bought it. Like look at how huge these leaves are. So I'm really excited. The goal is to get this baby like up to here. Up on this plant stand we have a jade plant, an aloe, which grew a ton. I got this from Trader Joe's when it was just like an itty baby. It's doing so well. This is a sweetheart plant. It's another type of Hoya. It's called a sweetheart because obviously it's in the shape of a heart. This has not changed since the day I bought it, which is wonderful because it means that it's still alive. Super low maintenance. I water it maybe like every 2 weeks whenever the soil completely dries out. This is a bird's nest snake plant. I got it from Trader Joe's again when it was a baby, and since I bought it at Trader Joe's for a couple bucks, this baby had a baby. And there's a snake pup down here. It's huge now. It started out so small. Part of me wanted to take it out into a new pot, but I know that snake plants like to be really tight together, so I might leave it. It's happy, like why take it away from its mother? This is the strongest cactus I know. I am not joking when I say that because I bought that cactus when I moved into this apartment over 2 years ago at this point, having no idea how to take care of plants, but knowing that cactuses don't need to be watered. So I barely watered it. I kept it out of sunlight because it was in my kitchen, which only has indirect light, but through it all, this plant survived. It's also never been repotted. Like I literally bought it in this pot. Oh my God, I also never noticed this, but she has a baby up here. So whatever I'm doing it right because this is a happy cactus. This pot, which is from Target, I love it, used to hold a huge succulent with little flowers that looked like antennas, so I called it Stitch. And unfortunately, I don't know what it is, but I also cannot keep succulents alive. Succulents are supposed to be like the easiest plant. Everyone recommends succulents. I kill them. They don't last. So this huge succulent, unfortunately, kind of like fell over, but I know if you take succulent like stems and place them into soil, roots will grow and you can regrow little tiny like succulent babies from them. So I took some of the stems of the succulent that fell apart. Do you see this? I haven't checked on them in a few days, but look at the roots. That is so cool. So I need to Google what the next steps are, but I think I just place them into soil and they'll become a new succulent plant. This was just the tip of the old succulent, the one that kind of fell apart. but it grew roots, so now I have a baby succulent. I think propagation on plants is the craziest, coolest thing. We are doing a little succulent propagating experiment in this pot. I'll keep you updated on how it goes. Back here, I have a cute little jade plant. I got this from Trader Joe's, and I just love getting tiny Trader Joe's plants because they seem to be really sturdy plants that don't die, and this one has grown a ton since I bought it. I recently bought this aloe. I love aloes so much. They're so exciting to watch grow, especially as you can see here, it grew 2 new stems. There's a little tiny baby one down there that I'm so excited to watch grow bigger. Next to it, I have another succulent. It's not doing hot. It's lost a lot of stems or leaves, but she's still alive. So fingers crossed that I can keep this one alive. I planted a few of the succulent like stems or leaves that have fallen off, so maybe they'll pick up and become their own succulents. It's all kind of an experiment. Right here, I'm actually propagating a tiny Easter lily cactus. I have this little mason jar shot glass with some water and rocks in it. As you can see, this one has some roots, but I want the roots to get pretty big, and then I will pot that as well. Next, I have a pin cushion. It is huge. I literally bought this from Trader Joe's when it was like this big, and it just shot straight up, but it does so well. Almost every single day I have to rotate it because plants will turn towards the sun. So you can see it's starting to curve. I'll have to rotate that again. This is my OG day 1 aloe. Again, super strong. This girl has been with me since I moved into this apartment and I almost killed her. All of these stems are new growth since repotting. When I bought her 2 years ago, I had no idea that you were supposed to repot plants, so the roots were so bad and like overgrown into the plastic pot. My mom was like, wow, I'm so surprised that it's still alive. We repotted it, put it into some direct sunlight, and even though it had basically just dead, soggy aloe leaves that were overwatered and not receiving enough light, she lived. You can see these darker cut off stems right here. These are the old ones that did not live, but everything else is new growth, which makes it so exciting because it's literally constantly growing new stems. I love checking on it. It is so cool. So she's doing really, really well. Down here, I have another type of aloe. It's so cute. I got this from Trader Joe's. It wasn't doing so hot in the store, but it was like the last one left right when quarantine hit. So I wanted to try to revive it, and we'll see. This is also from Trader Joe's. It's a cute little jade plant. Hopefully it does well. These seem super low maintenance. Next, up on these bookshelves, we have the mother plant. This is the satin pathos that started it all. I have cut so many cutlings off of this to propagate and make more plants from, but if I didn't do that, as you can tell with this side of it, it will just grow. It got really, really long over here, like down to the lights, and that's when I trimmed it to propagate new tiny pothos. Again, pothos are so easy because they do well in indirect light as well as shade. They need to be watered maybe like once or twice a week. They grow really fast and you can propagate them really easily. So up there is actually propagated golden pothos as well. That one I propagated directly into soil because the roots were long enough to live, or like to survive, if that makes sense. I've already had to repot that one into a bigger pot because the roots were growing out of it. I think it's gonna do really well. Coming over to my desk, which is like my favorite part of my office because of the sign. If you missed that vlog where I showed you where I got this and unboxed a ton of cute office decor, definitely go watch it. I'm gonna link it above as well as down below. It's my investment vlog. We have my Chinese money tree plant. I love this plant. The reason I bought it is because my mom said that they're supposed to bring financial luck and wealth, and oh my god, this plant must be the reason I'm doing so well this year with OnlyFans. Just kidding. But it grows really fast, and it's one of those plants that I'm always so excited to see growth with. It is constantly growing new leaves. As you can tell, this leaf is about to uncurl, and there's another leaf coming in as well. It grows really, really fast. Almost all of these leaves on top are new leaves that have grown since I bought it, and when I got it, it only had a few of these big ones, so that's been really awesome. It does so well in bright environments, but not too close to the window because then it will burn. We do not want that. On the other side of my desk, I have a very unfortunate scene. I got this when I redid my office, and it was such a wonderful desk plant. I got a cute polka dot plant. It was doing so well. It was so happy that it grew all of these flowers, and it just shot straight up. The plant didn't even come out of the pot before, and a few months later, it's so tall it can't stand up that it just goes to the side. I really don't know what to do because she's doing well. She's just growing so fast that I can't keep up, and because she's so tall, she's tilting down. I really don't know what to do. So if you have any tips for my polka dot plant, please let me know. But I did just buy this really cute plectranthus guacamole, call it one of those things. I just bought it and I think I'm going to pot it and put it up on my desk next because I don't know how much longer this polka dot plant is going to be here. This one also likes bright light, so it's gonna be really pretty against like the pink and white. Moving over to my west facing window. So the windowsill over here is typically where I put new plants that need full sun before I know where to put them yet. I don't know if I want that windowsill to be covered in plants as well, but hey, for now, it kind of is. Over here, we have another aloe. Again, I love aloes. They're so fun. They're so easy. Watching the new growth of these little stems down here is so exciting. I got this from IKEA a few weeks ago and just repotted it. It was so satisfying because in the old pot, roots were just everywhere. It was so root bound. I think it's gonna grow like really, really big. I think IKEA plants, like I said, are so sturdy, so I'm excited to watch it thrive. This is another type of aloe. It actually has, I believe, 3 or 4 in this pot. 1, 2, 3, and then another one, 4. And this is actually a tiger tooth aloe, and this is more of like a medicinal aloe. It's called tiger tooth though because look at those sharp teeth. This is an African milk tree cactus. It's so tall and has these beautiful leaves. Cactuses are so easy. They love direct sunlight. You water them, let the soil completely dry out, and you're good. Over here, we have a zebra aloe. We've got actually 2 of them in this pot. It's so small, it doesn't need to be repotted for a while, so it's just chilling here until I figure out what to do with it. And then this is an Easter lily cactus. I love it because of how many different cactus like heads are jutting out. Like it just looks so fun. I'm excited to watch that grow. And unfortunately, this is the basil that Tyler gave me as a gift. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that I was raving about how receiving basil as a gift was better than receiving flowers because it's a live plant that you can take care of, that won't die, and that you can eat. And we were having so much fun making dinner recipes that required a ton of basil because I'd use my homemade basil and it would just be really awesome. I don't know what happened, but this week alone, she was just done. I think I might have overwatered it. I don't know. It's really sad. R.I.P. Over here, I have some ivy. I really love ivy. Ivy unfortunately requires like full sun, so it's kind of hard for me to place it in my apartment. Ivy is really fun and it grows, and I love plants that like trail and have that vine effect. Well, I actually have this hanging planter up here, and my plan, once the ivy gets bigger, is to repot it up there and then just have it flow down. It's gonna look so pretty in this office space. I keep double checking every time I leave a room to make sure I didn't forget about a plant because there are so many. But moving on to the last final room of my apartment for this plant tour. My bedroom. Welcome to my bedroom. I'm sure you've seen a lot of this lately because of my 48-hour room makeover video, my mini room makeover video. I've done a lot to this room, so if you've missed those videos, definitely catch up. I get a ton of comments in those videos about the amount of plants that I have in here, a lot of wonderful comments supporting my addiction, and then a lot saying that I own too many, but you know what? They make me really happy, and I'm about to show them all off. So my room and my office, I think, are the rooms with the most plants in the house, but let's get started. This is a quick overview of my room. Let's start over here with this huge monstera plant, which I love so much. If you watched that room makeover video, you know this was a must that I really wanted to purchase for this corner. Monsteras don't like direct sunlight, which is perfect because it has this north-facing window with indirect light, which it's already reaching for. If you notice, all these bright like neon leaves are new growth that has uncurled since I purchased it, and all of the leaves, even though I rotate it constantly, the leaves still always face the window, and this one is like literally out of the window. I haven't rotated it in a few days, which means I probably should, so that these new leaves, like here's a leaf that's uncurling, and this leaf is uncurling as well so that they start to face other ways, because plants, like I said, will just naturally go towards the light. But I love this baby so much. I will die for this plant. Next to it, I have my prayer plant, which has grown so much. It's like literally going off of the nightstand. When I bought this prayer plant, it was a tiny little calathea plant. The reason it's called a prayer plant is because during the day, as you can see, these leaves are pretty loose and low, but in the evenings, all of the leaves will come up together, and it looks like they're praying because all the leaves come up together like this, so it's called a prayer plant. They're gone now, but in the summer she grew flowers, and if you look down here, I don't know if you're gonna be able to tell, but there are like little stumps of like new roots coming in. I might have to repot her sooner than a year. Next to her, I have like my best friend, which is this thermostat humidifier thing. It shows me the humidity in the room, which is super helpful with my plant care. Right now, the humidity is pretty decent. If it gets low, I will have to mist my plants a lot more to keep the humidity higher. This just helps me take care of my plants, which is great. Up above in these 3 macrame hanging planters, I have a snake plant up here, which is doing so well in its new home. It's just grown so many new leaves since I bought it. This is the only spider plant that I've ever been able to keep alive, happy, and like thriving without it like dying or curling up. My aunt actually gave this to me. She's from Colorado, and it survived the road trip back, and it's growing new little stems, which is so exciting. Over here in the corner, I have another hanging planter, and as you can see, there is another snake plant in here. The snake plant has a few different stems down there, so there's gonna be a lot of good growth. Moving to the other side of my bed, I have a matching macrame planter hanging in this corner, and this is actually another crispy wave fern. Unfortunately, it is not the best environment for a fern, and I do have to relocate her. But if you take a close look, you can see that the plant isn't doing well because it's losing a lot of its leaves. They're just dying. It's not looking so hot for this plant, unfortunately, so I will relocate it soon. I'm so sorry. We're almost done. So moving on to my dresser, this is also a place where I kind of put plants that I don't know what to do with yet. So ideally, these 3 plants would not be here, but hey, this is a real, honest, and authentic plant tour, so I don't want to stage anything. Starting though with this palm tree, what's really interesting, also I'm so sorry about the boobies, but what's really interesting about this palm plant is that it actually asks for indirect or shade for lighting, and you would think because it's palm that it would want direct sunlight, but I don't know, the app told me to place it here, so hopefully it does well. I also love when more like tropical plants are in terracotta pots, like the aloe that I have or this one. It just adds such a look to it. That's my palm tree plant. Next we have this philodendron. I recently bought it the other weekend, so it's still in the little pot that it came in, but honestly, like, it doesn't look root bound, so I think I can leave it in here for a while. The reason it's up here though and not repotted is because I don't know where to put it yet. I haven't found its forever home, so for now it's just getting some good indirect light on this dresser. Same goes for this dracaena. I love the leaves. It's so colorful. It's so big. I did repot it into this pot just because it was growing out of the pot that I bought it in recently. But again, it's a beautiful big plant that I don't know where to put. So for now, it's up here until I find that home. And this monstera, so if you watched my room makeover video, this baby monstera was an OG plant on my dresser. And for this plant tour, I thought I would bring it back into this room, like where it belongs, but I'm not even gonna lie. For the last like month, this monstera has been living its best life in this huge living room window because it wasn't receiving enough light in my bedroom, and it has grown so much. These 2 leaves are new. This whole stem is new. This leaf is new. Like, it's doing really well here, even though it doesn't fit the aesthetic that I mentioned about how I wanted just those 2 pots and that matching one. For lighting purposes, it's there. It might not be the prettiest thing, but that doesn't matter because I just want my plants to be well taken care of. Anyway, back to my bedroom. I do have this Algonema. I really don't know if I'm saying that right, and honestly I don't know what I'm doing with this plant because ever since I bought it, it's lost 2 leaves. It looks like it's gonna lose this leaf. I've put it in a different spot. I put it in this spot. I water it the way that I'm supposed to based on this and Google. This leaf is new growth since I bought it, so I must be doing something right because it grew this leaf, but I don't know, it just like doesn't really look like it's the happiest. Comment down below if you have any advice because I really want to take good care of it. Moving on to my bookshelf. Let's start up there. So up here in this yellow pot, we have a peperomia. Hope. It's not doing well. It's lost a lot of growth, but it's a plant that likes shade, so it should be doing well in theory. This is the graveyard site of where my spider plant used to be that died very quickly, unfortunately. I haven't figured out what to put here yet, so it's just an empty pot. And then I have a dracaena next to it, and again, as you can tell, the dracaena is not doing that well. It has a lot of brown spots up there. I do water it accordingly accordingly and fertilize when needed. I just don't know because dracaenas say that they can handle low light really well, but that one, like the brown spots, what does that mean? Because you'd think brown spots means it's receiving too much sunlight and it's getting burned, but that's receiving like 0 direct sunlight, so I don't know. Please help me. Dracaenas are kind of difficult for me. Next, we have a Brazil philodendron. Again, I love philodendrons. I think they're super similar to pathos. They just grow really quickly and viney, so it's gonna have a lot of good growth. This is a piece of the philodendron next to it that I am propagating, so hopefully some roots start to grow and I can repot that. These are cutlings off of the marble pathos as well. I think I got attacked by mites or like little flies or gnats or bugs because the leaves are getting really flimsy and I have noticed some gnats around it. We'll see if she makes it. I did order a insect repellent thing for houseplants, so once that arrives off of Amazon, I'll see if I can fix up this plant. She's not looking so well. On this next shelf, I have one of my favorite plant pots, this little bumblebee terracotta plant pot, and it has my flapjack succulent in it. So I actually move the succulent often into direct sunlight in my office just so that it gets some good light. However, you are not supposed to put it in too much direct sunlight, otherwise, as you can see here, the leaves will burn, and I feel so bad when leaves burn, but I also don't want to deprive it of sun because it's like over here in this corner, so I'm doing my best. We're trying to find a good balance. I think it's doing really well because in the middle there are 2 new little leaves coming in, so it has to be happy, right? Next to it, I have one of my favorite plants. It's a philodendron. It is so full. It was not this full when I bought it, so it makes me really happy. It's also got a little flower, but I'm so excited for mirror selfies with this philodendron because she is just going to vine off. It's gonna look so great and like earthy, especially like with all the woods too. The wood shelf, the wooden mirror, this wicker, it's gonna look really, really fun. So I'm excited for that vine to appear. Down here, I have another calathea. This is another variety of my prayer plant calathea. Again, calatheas do really well in like low light areas, but for some reason it looks like this one was getting too much sun because it's like crispy leaves. So I don't know what's going on. I don't know if I'm underwatering or overwatering. It's so hard to tell because the symptoms are the same either way, so I just don't know what I'm doing wrong. But here we have a very low maintenance, amazing bird's nest snake plant. I love snake plants, like I keep mentioning, because it's almost impossible to mess up. You can see these brighter leaves in the middle. Those are new. Those are new growth since I bought it like a month ago, like literally maybe like 6 weeks ago. So that's really exciting. It just means that it's really happy here. Down here, I have another snake plant. I think it's going to grow pretty tall, and that's really exciting. And then moving on to this hanging planter, we have some natal ivy, which I love so much. In the summer, she blossomed to flower, which was so cool, and it's just really starting to like go everywhere. Like the vines are curling around all of these ropes, which is so cool. Like look at how high it's getting. And up here is a very, very sad spider plant. Again, oh, it looks horrible. Oh my God, it did not look that bad 2 days ago when I was prepping for this video. I don't know what I'm doing. I have snake plants in so many different light environments, and I had one in my office that died, my living room, my bedroom shelf, and now that planter, 4 different spots, and they just don't do well. The only one that lived, the boy who lived. I should literally name that plant the plant who lived because it's the only one that survived. This is a very sad spider plant. I am so sorry that I failed you. Sometimes you do everything you can, and I mean, I'm not perfect. Moving over to this IKEA planter, which I love so much. A lot of people advised me not to put it here because they said this was ineffective, but there's so much space for me to walk. Okay, I guess it doesn't look like that much space, but I have no problem. I never go over here. I'm okay with it. So if I'm okay with it, you need to be too. But it's also great for storing more pots down here as well. It also has some more windowsills so I can like charge my crystals under the full moon and have little pups over here growing in like direct sunlight. So I actually have this ghost succulent up here. Again, you can see it's tilting towards the sun right now. Like I said, I tend to kill them, but I've been pretty lucky with this one. And then over here I have 2 pups of a zebra aloe plant. I cut these off of like the mother plant that I will show you in a second. But down here we have the ghost plant succulents, which is the same type of succulent that that little little guy is, which is like super cool to see the difference. I have a great barrel cactus, a bunny ears cactus, another great barrel cactus, another great barrel cactus. This is the mother plant of the zebra aloe that gave birth to these two pups that I'm growing. It's really hard to see on camera, but that really bright neon stem down there, that's a little pup. So once that gets bigger, I could in theory take it off and pot it. But I love zebra aloes. They're so fun and different and really easy. We have a moon cactus, which is so cool because it grows these fun little colorful things on top. We have a string of pearls, which unfortunately did not make it. I think it was too high of humidity in July because she kind of just puffed up and then fell off, which is so sad because these are supposed to be so easy and like fun hanging plants, but this one didn't stand a chance. I'm so sorry. I don't know what I did. This is a donkey tail succulent. It is so cute. I love its name, donkey tail. I have this little cut chopstick up here to help keep it up. Otherwise it tends to like fall over because it's so long. I have another cactus over here, and this is a cutting of my aunt's aloe plant from Colorado that she gave to me, and my mom brought it home in a wet paper towel. Unfortunately, when I was potting it, the root that it came with snapped, so I'm hoping that it will grow back, but I don't know if it's gonna last, you guys. We have a succulent over here from Trader Joe's. Fingers crossed I can keep that one alive. And then this is a really big cutting that I'm propagating. I actually have a story about this propagated cutling that I have that I want to tell you about because it's like pretty sentimental. I keep mentioning how some of these plants are from my aunt and she lives in Colorado. My mom went to visit her sister, my aunt, maybe like over a month ago at this point in Colorado. Their mother, my grandmother, passed away 10 years ago, and it was like really hard on the family. It's a death in the family. It sucks. I was really close to her. It's been hard, but after she passed away, my aunt took a lot of my grandmother's plants, and when my mom went to visit my aunt this summer, my aunt asked if I would like grandmother's Easter cactus. Of course I said yes, and my aunt cut off a good chunk, a big cutting of the cactus, and basically it just needs rocks and then a little bit of water for humidity. It already grew like pretty big roots. I'm not sure when I'm supposed to pot it. I probably could now, but just to be safe, I'm going to keep propagating it in water. And it means a lot to me because this is a plant that my grandmother had when I was growing up, but it also freaked me out because I was like, oh my God, are some of my plants gonna outlive me? It's a scary thought, but I'm really glad I have like a piece of my grandmother here with me now. Real quick, I did forget about two propagating plants that I also have in my kitchen that I forgot to show you. About a month ago, I bought these hanging vases from a nursery. They're perfect for propagating. So here I have a chunk of the satin pathos from my office that I showed you. And look at how long that root is. It's starting to really curl around this bottle. I could totally pot it now if I'm ready. I'm actually gonna pot it with the pathos in my living room that I showed you earlier that needs like more stems or roots or whatever. So that's exciting. And then I also have another one hanging next to it in my window, and this is a philodendron. You can see that huge root growing as well. So pretty soon I can pot both of these and then start propagating more babies, which is so cool because you have the opportunity to grow so many more plants off of just like one plant that you bought. There you have it. That is my 100+ plant tour in my apartment. I hope that you enjoyed. I had a ton of fun filming this, taking you around my place and showing you all of my favorite plants. Hopefully some of you can give me some advice on what some of these babies need. I hope this also inspired you to pick up some more local plants from your local nursery and start the journey. Definitely comment down below what your favorite type of plant is or what plants you own. I am genuinely so interested in knowing this about you. Let me know if you would be interested in that video about easy houseplants, or maybe this video helped you enough already. I'm not sure. I love plant content and I'd love to know if that is something you'd be interested in seeing, but if it's not, I won't make any content about it. Just let me know what you enjoyed. I hope you have a wonderful rest of your day. I personally am going to go watch the new episode of The Bachelor right now because it just started airing, and I'll see you guys with my next video. Bye! I was so hurt and upset that I never gave him another chance.